더보기란과 고정 댓글에 비트코인 관전방 링크 달아놨으니 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. 안녕하세요. 비트POV입니다. 드디어 찾았습니다. 1200% 급등 예상 민코인이 저희 알파빗에 포착되었습니다. 앞전에 올렸던 알파빗 지표에 대한 문의가 많이 왔었는데요. 먼저 연락주신 분들께는 이미 정보가 전달된 상태입니다. 우리는 오늘 등장할 대기업의 CEO인 샘슨모우도 아니고 월가에 수십억 달러를 굴리는 트레이더도 아닙니다. 그렇다면 빠르고 양질의 정보 수집이 굉장히 중요하겠죠. 오늘 영상 끝에 그 힌트가 있습니다. 끝까지 시청 바랍니다.
That's the path to 1 million.
$1 million Bitcoin, Samson. When's that going to happen?
My guess is it's going to be this year.
It's going to be this year.
You look at all the factors that we're facing. You have
That's a 10x.
Bitcoin has 17x in the past. There is no upper bound to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is that new thing because it's 100, if not 1,000 times better than anything else we've used as money in human history. So I just can't see it not hitting 1 million this year. And the other thing is, you see a lot of people predicting prices, right? They like to be cautious and realistic and say, yeah, it can get to 150. It can get to 200. It can get to 250. Because I think they want to sound reasonable. Nobody wants to be the crazy guy saying it's going to 10x, like me. They want to be, I'm a serious person with realistic projections. But Bitcoin is not a realistic thing. It's a zero-sum game. Either you're going to use Bitcoin or you're going to starve. So it's all or none. And when you get to different levels, like when you get to 100K, when you get to 100K, it's different, right? When you get to 200K, the world again looks very, very different. Just close your eyes and imagine, what does the world look like when Bitcoin is at 500K? That's, we're reaching half of gold's market cap at that point. But disregard that. Bitcoin is sitting at 500K. We are the second largest asset now behind gold. It's a very different landscape. And at that point, do you think most people would still want to sell their Bitcoin to get fiat? Or would most people now insist on being paid in Bitcoin? I think it's the latter. So from there, you just 2x.
Yeah.
And then you're number one. But overall, Bitcoin is undervalued. And I think even at 100K, 150, 200, it's still undervalued. I think the IMF is definitely scared of Bitcoin because they are a fiat organization. For those people that don't know, they have their own shitcoin. It's called the
SDR.
Yeah, SDR, Strategic Drawing Rights, which means they can just kind of print their own money out of thin air too. But with Bitcoin, they're irrelevant, or they need to adopt Bitcoin. It's their choice. Either you adapt or you die. But I think there's another darker angle here, which is they're basically a loan shark. Their job is to lend money in perpetuity to countries like El Salvador and, developing places around the world. And this kind of puts them out of a job. So I think they had to fight for that. Or they wanted to save face because remember, they made a big stink about all the Bitcoin adoption in El Salvador, that, you're going to fail, it's dangerous and whatnot. And when they're wrong and they're incorrect and the metrics prove them incorrect, vastly incorrect, I think they need something to save face. So maybe they insisted on these concessions just so they can say, yes, we got something. The whole way that government works right now is very flawed. And I think about this a lot because I work on a game set in the future. So I'm trying to think, how does government work in the future? And there are differing schools of thought. Some Bitcoiners think anarchy. And, it's just a free-for-all. I think you still need some structure in place because there will be bad people that do bad things, and you need to be able to deal with that somehow. And I think there will still be a need for relationships with other groups, like diplomacy. So I think there is some role for government, very scaled back, very administrative, not prescriptive in many ways, and based off of some sort of foundational codex of laws that's far simplified and mirroring a bit of Bitcoin. So consensus-based rules where to do something, you need a supermajority to consent to it. So there is no war, no emergency act, no martial law able to be done without active consent of people. So that's probably somewhere we go, but definitely Bitcoin will change that relationship because they can't print money. They can't take your money. So they just shrink naturally. And I think this is a good thing because most of the problems we have today is the government is trying to do everything. It starts out slowly, but as you give people free stuff, they want more free stuff. And it just spirals out of control where you have some of those things uncovered by the Department of Government Efficiency, which is the Treasury was just paying bills indiscriminately to terrorists too. So it just becomes a big machine that lives off of its own bureaucracy. The Trump admin coming into power and formulating this path to a reserve has made it easier yet again for us.
What do you think happens to the price of Bitcoin if the strategic Bitcoin reserve thing does go through in the United States? It looks like it's going to happen on the state level before the federal level.
Well, as Adam Back says, so there are people that talk about diminishing returns, right? But if it's a step change, just like the failure of the German mark, it's not a gradual thing and there's no upper bound. It's just gone. And you use a new thing now, right? It's like, yeah, we don't use horses for transportation anymore. We came here on a car or on airplanes and whatnot. So we use a new thing right now, from MicroStrategy, from the ETFs, from nation states, from ordinary people buying and hodling, that I don't think people have fully realized that most of the year's supply of mined Bitcoin is already gone a few times over. So you have to understand there is ultimate scarcity in Bitcoin. And I believe the understanding of ultimate scarcity is very far away still. People just can't wrap their heads around there only being 21 million. And when the price drops, people kind of feel confident that I can get it later. But then Bitcoin rips and then there is no later. Like imagine being able to buy Bitcoin at $10,000 a coin. Again, it's not possible. And this milestone of 100,000 will be gone again in time.
오늘 영상에 나온 샘슨모우는 중국계 캐나다인으로 국가 단위 비트코인 도입을 지원하는 회사인 젠3의 CEO입니다. 그는 IMF가 비트코인을 두려워한다고 말했는데요. 그들은 법정 화폐 시스템에 갇혀 있다고 비판했습니다. 그리고 그들은 쓰레기 코인을 무제한 찍어낼 수 있다고 했습니다. 하지만 비트코인은 그들을 완전히 무력화시킬 수 있습니다. 실제로 IMF는 엘살바도르의 비트코인 법정 화폐 채택을 강하게 비판했지만 실제로 엘살바도르는 경제 성장, 관광 수입 증가, 국가 채무 개선까지 이루어냈습니다. 결국 IMF 같은 기관들은 강제로 적응하든가 아니면 도태될 수밖에 없는 상황이겠죠. 과거에도 패러다임이 바뀔 때마다 개인들에게 커다란 기회가 열렸었습니다. 그리고 지금 우리가 직접 만든 보조지표로 이 흐름을 이어갈 밈코인이 포착되었습니다. 단기적으로 1200에서 2000% 폭등 가능성이 있는 밈코인입니다. 지금 시장이 어떻게 돌아가는지 아는 사람들은 이미 바쁘게 움직이고 있습니다. 기회는 준비된 사람들의 몫이죠. 이 기회를 놓치고 싶지 않은 분들은 빠르게 문의 주시기 바랍니다. 문의 방법은 이 번호로 급등이라고 문자 주시거나 고정 댓글 확인 부탁드립니다. 실시간 관전방도 운영 중이니 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. 오늘 영상이 유익하셨다면 좋아요, 구독 잊지 마세요. 감사합니다.